Okay, let's talk about employee engagement. You've probably heard that phrase thrown around in what? A million meetings, right? But what does it actually mean? Is it a real, solid driver of business success? Or is it just another one of those fluffy corporate buzzwords that sounds nice but doesn't really do anything? Well, we're going to break it down and find out if this is all just buzz or if it really, truly hits the bottom line.
The definition of employee engagement can feel, well, a little messy. There are so many different interpretations out there, which is probably why a lot of companies just kind of treat it as a nice to have, not a must have. But here's the thing. Brushing it aside isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a seriously expensive mistake. And the price tag, it's staggering.
Get ready for this number. $605 billion. Let that sink in for a second. That's what Gallup estimates is lost every single year in the US alone from lost productivity, all because of disengaged employees. We are not talking about some soft, feel-good metric here. This is a massive, real-world financial drain on the entire economy.
And that brings us right to the heart of that $605 billion problem, the disengaged employee. You've probably heard the newer, trendier name for this, quiet quitting. It's all about those folks who are physically there at work. They show up, but mentally and emotionally, they've completely checked out.
Now, let's be clear. Disengaged employees aren't necessarily lazy people. They've just lost their connection to the work. That passion, that energy, that motivation to do more than the absolute bare minimum, it's gone. They're just going through the motions. And that disconnect, that gap between a person and their purpose, has some pretty serious consequences. To really get what engagement is, we first have to talk about what it's not. And for starters, it is absolutely not the same thing as satisfaction. See, a satisfied employee, they have a pretty transactional relationship with their job. It's like, you give me fair pay, I'll give you a fair day's work, and that's it. But that deeper, emotional investment just isn't there, which means they're way more likely to pick up the phone when a recruiter calls.
And it's also not the same as happiness. Yeah, of course, perks are great. Free lunches, office parties, they can definitely create happy moments. But a happy employee isn't always a productive one. That quick little buzz you get from a perk is a totally different thing from the deep, driving sense of purpose that fuels real, lasting engagement.
So if it's not satisfaction and it's not happiness, then what in the world are we aiming for? Okay, let's switch gears from the problem to the solution and really dig into what true employee engagement looks like. All right, at its very core, employee engagement is all about the emotional connection someone feels to their company. It's that internal drive, that extra little bit of discretionary effort that makes an employee want to go above and beyond, not because they have to, but because they genuinely want to. They want to see the company win. The author Kevin Kruse really nails it with this quote. It all comes down to one thing: emotional commitment. That's it. That's a secret sauce. It's the huge shift in mindset from "this is the job I have to do" to "I really believe in what we're doing here and I want to be a part of its success." Okay, so we've got the problem and we've got the solution defined. But how do you actually build that emotional commitment? How do you do it? Well, let's walk through 6 really practical, low-cost keys that pretty much any organization can use to unlock engagement. So these 6 steps right here, they're basically the building blocks. It all starts with communication, and I mean a real two-way street, not just orders coming down from on high. Then you've got clear goals, so every single person understands exactly how their work fits into the bigger picture. Next is recognition, which is so much more than a bonus. It's about acknowledging effort and making people feel seen. Then there's development. Investing in your people's growth shows you're invested in them. Camaraderie is huge. Having actual friends at work makes people feel more connected. And finally, you have to listen. Use surveys, ask questions, and show people their voice actually matters. All 6 of those keys really point to one simple, powerful truth. The single biggest driver of engagement is making people feel valued and involved. That's it. When employees feel seen, when they feel heard, and when they feel appreciated, their emotional commitment just skyrockets. So what's the real payoff for doing all this? We've talked about concepts and ideas, but let's get down to the hard numbers. What is the tangible, data-backed return on investment when you really lean into engagement? The connection to the bottom line is absolutely undeniable. According to Gallup's research, companies with highly engaged teams see 22% higher profitability than their competitors.
That is not a small number. That is a massive competitive advantage. And what about keeping your best people? We all know how crazy expensive it is to hire and train someone new. Well, check this out. Engaged employees are a staggering 87% less likely to leave their organization. That emotional commitment creates a kind of loyalty that you just can't buy.
And the numbers just keep getting better. Engaged teams are 43% more productive. They have 48% fewer safety incidents on the job, 41% fewer quality defects in whatever they're making, and all that great internal stuff translates outward, leading to 10% higher customer satisfaction scores. I mean, the evidence is just overwhelming. And hey, if you still need a little more convincing, just listen to this from the legendary CEO Jack Welch. He puts employee engagement right up there with customer satisfaction and cash flow, one of the 3 most critical measurements of a company's health. When a leader like that says it's essential, you know it is not just a buzzword. So, after all of this, after seeing the incredible costs of disengagement and the massive benefits of building a truly engaged workforce, there's really only one question left to ask. Where does your organization stand? Is employee engagement a top priority? Or is it a huge untapped opportunity just waiting to transform your bottom line? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.